Welcome to the Meetings Podcast, the meeting organizer's podcast source for what's new in the meetings and events industry. Meetings Podcast is a conversation with a variety of voices that looks at events, meetings, and media. Meetings Podcast is sponsored by IMEX America, America's worldwide exhibition for incentive travel, meetings, and events.
Well, thanks again for tuning into the Meetings Podcast. I wanted to thank today's sponsors. I want to thank IMEX America, of course. I wanted to thank our sponsor, Event Escalators. Event Escalators, are you tired of your executives walking up those stairs on each side of the stage? How about the newest trend in speaker comfort, Event Escalators? Event Escalators keep your executives fresh and ready to give those engaging presentations. 4 out of 5 speakers feel Event Escalators improve their speeches. Rise to the occasion with Event Escalators. So you can check them out at eventescalators.com. Tell them that Meetings Podcast sent you if you do end up talking to them. Today's podcast is brought to you by audible.com. You can get a free trial. The Meetings Podcast listeners can get a free trial at audibletrial.com/Meetings Podcast. There's 180,000 titles to choose, so there's a ton of books. I've mentioned a few that I'm reading. I've read. Let's see, The Boys in the Boat. I listened to The Boys in the Boat recently. Daniel James Brown. That's a really good one. Check that out. It's very exciting. And so let's get into it. Today's podcast is with Will Curran. He's with Endless Entertainment. Will has more energy than anyone I've ever met. I think he is a great guy, creative, cool guy. Check out their website. He has a really great AV company that I'm excited to be working with, hopefully in the future, coming up soon. And so let's get right to it. Let's hear all about Will. And we did this also. We recorded this on Blab.im, which is I've been trying that a few times. It's kind of an interesting platform that you can try out if you want to talk to people or interview them or get a group together to talk. It's a pretty cool thing. So another one of these technologies to try out. I don't know how we're going to get it into the events, but I'm sure somebody will figure it out. So anyway, let's get into the conversation with Will, and I will talk to you after the show. Welcome back to the Meetings Podcast. This is Mike McAllen with Grashak Events and Media, and today we have Will Curran. Hi, Will.
Hey, Mike.
Will is the president and founder of Endless Entertainment, and as the founder of Endless Entertainment, Will has been named one of the under 40 event industry leaders. 35 entrepreneurs under the age of 35, and Inc. magazine's coolest college startup of all before graduating college. Wow. I should have read this before I read it now. But Will has been producing events since high school when he started his first company, and now has worked in production of large event clients such as Emerald City, Comic-Con, Anheuser-Busch, and the Color Run. His team's mission is to simplify the event planning process by creating the equation for an event's perfect solution. They also relentlessly seek to be the name in customer service in the events industry. From event logistics to business development to technical production, Will has a diverse background in growing events and companies to the next level. I wanted to say, before you say anything, Will, because I know you're going to start talking, and I wanted to say that I was just telling you that I went to your website this morning, and it's a fantastic website, and I think people should go check it out, even if they're not looking for event help. I don't know who else would be listening to this besides people in the events industry, but check it out as a good way of having a really informative website. And, the marketing, the ebooks, the webinars, you're doing it all right. I mean, and I was just telling you, it's inspiring to my old ass that I should be doing more stuff with my own company. But anyway, so let's get into you. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it. And I don't know how you got Batman to come.
It's a very, very special request. Me and the guy under the mask are close personal friends.
Yeah, and I guess I should tell people, since this is an audio podcast, we're doing this on Blab. We're doing an experiment to try to record on Blab, which is kind of fun. If you haven't tried Blab, it's blab.im. And Will actually is in your office, I assume.
Yep. Yep.
and he has a Batman with him behind him. That's
Yep.
why.
So we do a ton of Comic Con, so I just have tons of comic book characters. I'm also a huge super nerd around like Flash and Arrow and things like that. So
So cool.
it's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, and I was watching the. You have great case studies on your site about Comic Con. One of them I didn't look
Thank you.
but that what a cool video too. Nice job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's always trying to express how we do things, and video is an awesome format for doing that for sure.
It is. It is. And are you a video editor? Is that one of your things you do?
Oh no! I was definitely a amateur video editor when I first was like through high school and middle school and was trying to figure that sort of stuff out. I had a passion for it, but no, that I definitely there are people much better at that than me. That I just say the vision of what I'm looking for and they make it happen.
Nice. Well, that's half the battle there too, is the vision of it all. So
exactly.
Do you have a favorite quote?
Ooh, yeah, totally. So probably my favorite quote. I mean, I was thinking about what my favorite quote is of all time, and there was a lot to choose from, but my favorite probably all-time quote would have to be, "Try not to be a person of success, but be a person of value." Albert Einstein said that. And it means a ton to me, I think, because as a young entrepreneur, starting my first company in high school, and growing it, you get kind of this success really early on. People say, "Man, you're so successful at such a young age," and to be honest, it kind of goes to your head a little bit. You kind of go like, "Man, I'm so successful," and everything like that, and you almost a little bit want to sit back and kind of like chill and relax and be like, "Man, I've done so much success in such a short time." But what I realized is, with that quote, when I heard that the first time, I realized that that's not what it's about. The reason why I think I have been so successful is because I've given so much value and I've tried to be out there, and I get more return from that than trying to be more successful, trying to be a #1 AV company in the world, or trying to be getting more awards or things like that. I just put my value out there, and the universe returns it for sure.
Very, very cool. That's a great one, and a great backup to why you picked it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so when you in high school you started your first company, it was an events company?
Yeah. So the company what that is now is kind of evolved basically out of the company I started in high school in 2007. I had a couple other small little things like an internet radio station and blogging and things like that before all of this, but I started in 2007 doing DJing in backyard parties actually.
Nice. Oh, that's doing it. I mean, that's where it starts, right?
Exactly. Playing the teeny boppers, top 40 music.
That's great. Well, I mean, that's my first question was to you, is like how you got into this business. So it seems like that's how you started in. And how did it grow from there? Like, did you say one day, "Hey, I could be doing more than this," or is it?
Yeah. Oh no, totally. I mean, I think throughout my entire life, I've always had this incessant need to like go to that next level and try to accomplish something I've never done before. So yeah, started DJing backyard parties, and then kind of grew that throughout high school. Obviously, when I got to college, got way more free time. I was DJing like 7 days a week, all the time, making good money, but was exhausted, and I was kind of burnt out from DJing, I think. And I started seeing over on the East Coast these companies do these massive high school dances, like 5,000 high school students in these track rooms with $50,000-$60,000 AV productions, bigger than some corporate events that we see now, and was just absolutely amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, my high school dances were horrible. I want to make these awesome and do what they did. And basically, yeah, just decided to try it. 6 months later, convinced the school to do it, and proved the concept and said, okay, we can do this. Well, let's spread the word about this, do all of them. We had like 70% of the market in Arizona and did these massive dances. They looked like Usher concerts, like, all the latest moving heads and like lighting and cool sound systems, live percussionists play along DJs. But again, I got kind of burnt out and kind of hit this cap where I wanted to do bigger things. Long story short, started doing even bigger events, and realized I had to start working with a lot of different AV and production companies essentially, and realized there was like definitely a common thread that went through a lot of different production companies, and that was there was a lack of customer service and ease with working with them. The reason why I think I had a lot of easiness working with them was because I was like a techie guy. I wanted to know how the wireless mic worked, how the lights worked. I figured all that sort of stuff out. But most clients I was talking to, they were like, I don't care if it's a Martin LED fixture or an inhalation fixture, or how that all works out. It just has to work. And so we said, you know what? I think like producing these events is cool and all, but let's start our own AV company essentially. And so we bought all our own gear, started our own AV company, and basically took everything we learned from working with AV companies and turned it into our own kind of thing. Been hugely successful. A lot of the clients that we've been picking up have loved what we've worked with, our creativity and like our ability to make things super, super easy, as well as like, just the way we make it all work, I think is just one reason why we have been so successful.
Yeah, no, it's inspiring to hear you talk. And so what was the biggest like roadblock for you during this time? What's been the biggest? So somebody's listening to this thing and I want to do the same thing. Like what was some of the things that you ran into that were like, oh God,
oh my gosh,
I didn't anticipate this.
Totally. I mean, like entrepreneurship and starting your own company and like doing anything in life, right? There's always going to be roadblocks. So there's been like tons I could go through, like I've done like some of them, for example, like when I was in high school, I dealt with a lot with ageism. Like, when you're a young kid and, before I grew the beard and looked like I was way older than I am now, it was really tough to convince people to spend lots of money on a kid basically, and a guy who had an idea. So that was really tough, but I overcome a lot of that through like marketing and just proving myself, saying like, hey, look what I've done with this client, why can't I do that for you? And also just a huge amount of professionalism for sure. Professionalism is one of our core values at Endless. So, we really integrated that into what we did. Other really big roadblocks that I've had, I think that they're more recently, a big roadblock that I've been having is that since we're doing stuff all over the country now, and literally traveling like crazy, like this week, I'm literally like, I have to go to Northern Arizona for a client meeting, drive back, fly out to California for a meeting, fly back, event in Arizona on Saturday. Like, it's just crazy amount of traveling I've been doing is, how do I balance it all and how do I get everything done while also, as things are growing and scaling and everything like that. So that's been a really huge challenge with that sort of portion, because I think a lot of times when people get really excited about travel, they're like, yes, this is going to be so awesome. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to see another hotel room ever again. And then I guess the last huge roadblock or challenge that I may have had, or I have had, not may have had, is definitely finding my rhythm of my life, that what makes me happy. Because, as you own a company, in the events industry, I think especially, it's really easy to get burnt out and exhausted right after doing a big event or something like that. So what I found out is it's not as much about balance. Like some people say, like, how do you balance, work and life and all these things? I think that it's more of an integration, and it's more about finding little small breaks along the way. So for example, like every Thursday I go out and see the newest movies that come out. I'm a huge movie junkie. Every Tuesday I have dinner with my close friends. Like those sort of things, like I count on with my routine that give me breaks throughout the week to be able to continue going. So then that way I can power through not only Monday to Friday, working with clients and developing out their event strategies and everything like that, and building awesome AV quotes, those sort of things, then go through the whole weekend of events and then circle back and do that again with no breaks. So that was really, really big challenge for me, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you talk. It's fun. The traveling is crazy, and I've gone through over the years,
Totally.
and like, okay, this is taking a break, getting back into it, taking a break, getting back into it. It is a difficult. I think that's one of the hardest things about the business. You hit it on the head. Is that you striving so hard to be successful, and then once you become successful, you're working all the time,
Exactly.
And it's great, and you have money and you're enjoying stuff, but then you start to figure out that,
how do I balance all this energy?
Yeah, you got to balance it. Yeah. And I've told other people, for me, I do a lot of like meditating now every day, and
Cool.
It's really helped me. And it's been like, I thought before, oh, that's crazy crap. I should just have
totally.
a glass of whiskey or
amazing
something.
How it works, right?
It does. It amazingly works. And I tell people that all the time. And especially in our industry, I hope more people start to do it, because I think it'll help a lot of people get through what you're going through. But,
Absolutely.
So how do you see your company in the future? What's going to happen with all this great work, and what's the game plan? Are you taking over the world?
I try not to think of it like a world domination standpoint, but my big thing is always just trying to be in front of as more people as possible, let them know that Endless exists. I'd love to do more and more events, bigger events. The more I can impact and really help people know that there is an AV company out there that's easy to work with, the more I feel like the industry will be changing for sure. And it's awesome because since we started doing this, we definitely are seeing the tone change in the industry already. I think people are finally reacting to what we're doing. So that's a huge goal for us, is obviously more events. And for me, a big goal for us, I think in the next 3 years or so, is going to be, now that we're nationally and doing things all over the place, literally from like Seattle to Washington, Miami to Iowa, everywhere in between, is breaking that international bubble, the overseas bubble for sure. So we haven't done anything overseas yet. I have a client that I'm working with, hopefully fingers crossed, for Bangkok for next year.
Nice.
So that's a huge goal for us, because if I want our clients to basically say to us, hey, I need Endless, and it's not a question of how or those sort of things. It's just, it works. So international would be really, really awesome for us. And then another big thing is, it's funny, like over the last couple of years since we started doing all the content and the ebooks and everything like that, a big goal of us was to become an industry influencer in the AV and production space. And since we started doing all the content, I think we finally achieved that goal. But I think there's always room for improvement. I'd love to push out more content. I'd love to have, from us going from 4 blogs a week to doing, 4 blogs a day, just pushing out more and more awesome content and helping people out, because I want us to be like a resource that when people are like, hey, I need help with events, they can come to us. And it's not a matter of going to a million different resources for sure. So that's a huge goal, I think, for us too in the future.
It's a great idea and a great goal.
Thank you.
So right now, what's something you're working on right now that you would like to talk about? I mean, is there a project or something you're talking about doing right now that you might want to share, something cool, or maybe just something you're doing just to kind of get a kind of more of a breath of what you're doing, or what Endless is doing?
Oh my gosh. So what I'm working on, I could talk about for like years on, and what I'm allowed to talk about now, that's a very important issue. No, I'm just kidding. Well,
that's true. I mean, a lot of these things are. I mean, I have a lot of experience in that you do cool stuff, but you're not allowed to share it.
Exactly. You're like, afterwards, you're like, look, I've been working on this for 12 months. Check it out.
Yeah, and you can't say anything about it. Yeah. Or videos, that we've done videos and stuff where we can't show it to anybody, and it's like, this is the coolest stuff we've ever done. But anyway, but go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. I think one of the big things is, we're pushing through the content side. That's really, really important for us. So I'm working on a lot of really big, like industry changing content. Like a really big ebook I'm personally working on writing right now is like this huge ultimate guide to AV quotes. And I know you do the AV for Planner stuff, and like, I love it. And huge amount of inspiration came from that to start this ebook of basically, how do you compare AV quotes? How do you understand AV quotes? How do you it's like the demystifying like key to AV quotes, basically. It's this massive guide I've put together. Nice. It's going to be really, really huge. So that's a huge thing I'm working on that I am allowed to talk about. I think another big portion of it that I'm working on is that we actually just made a big change. We still have all of our warehouses full of gear and everything like that, but we made a really conscious decision over the last couple months that we're actually moving our team completely remote. So the employees themselves, other than the people working in the warehouse, prepping the gears, driving the trucks, they actually are not locked into any sort of location. So for example, with me, this next month or so, I'm doing tons of traveling between California, Chicago, Miami, and everything like that. I can be anywhere my clients need me to be, and I can still get everything done. So that's a huge thing for us, is that as we're national, we didn't want people to say, hey, I have to fly my employees to Phoenix. I didn't want to say, oh, we have multiple offices. I just want to give my employees the freedom to do what they want, so they're truly happy, but also so that we can literally be anywhere at a moment's notice and still get everything done. So that's a really cool thing that I've been working on as well, and really huge shift in culture, as well as happiness, definitely towards the employee side.
Yeah. And so how will you keep the culture going if you're not sorry, I don't know if this is a too depth of a question, but how will you keep that culture going? Are you going to have regular meetings? I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about, you don't have to, but but
no, totally. And it's still a little bit of thing that we're a little bit figuring out as we go along, but this decision was definitely not taken lightly. I did a lot of research into it, and what I found is one of the biggest things with keeping the culture and being able to manage this remote culture is over communication for sure. Is that you wake up in the morning, you say, hey guys, I'm online, I'm going to get some work done. Oh, hey guys, I'm going to go take the dog for a walk. Being able to communicate so then people know kind of how busy you are, what's going on, when you're on, when you're not. That's really important. We use Slack at our company. Slack is basically like
we do too. Yeah,
awesome.
it is.
Everyone
I can't tell you, it's my favorite thing in the world.
What's awesome is all my clients are on it, getting on it too. So I'm like super
perfect.
excited to like basically utilize it for every, like I actually replaced my texting app on my phone with Slack because I just use Slack more than I use texting now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Slack is basically like a chat program for those who don't know. Like basically we set up channels and groups within the company for people to chat. And there's a bunch of really allows you to communicate really, really well. Integrations so we can get notifications when signatures for contracts come in and, you know, new opportunities come across our board and those sort of things. But also one of the best things is definitely the Giphy feature where you do like type /Giphy in a word and it picks a random GIF from the internet. So there's certain things like out there, technology that you can utilize to keep the culture going for sure.
Yeah.
But nothing definitely beats the, you know, the face-to-face Skype video, those sort of things, and talking on the phone for sure. So that's definitely a huge part of what we're doing.
It sounds great. Sounds like a great idea. So,
thank you.
All right. So let's get into some other questions. So take me through a typical day. So what's it like for you? You wake up in the morning and do you have like do you have like any morning rituals like food, exercise? Like what do you do? What's something that you could share that do you look at the same things on the web every day?
Totally. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love this question because actually no one ever asked me this question. I always want to share what I do. Especially recently because I made the conscious decision to move remote. Things completely changed. So for the remote lifestyle, like your routines are everything as well. My typical day, the way I wake up in the morning pretty early, around like 6:30 or so. First thing I do is just like throw on my shoes and my running shorts and I just go for a run for a while, as long as I usually can. Especially now that I'm everyone's gonna hate me that I say this. Now that I'm getting older, I definitely know I need exercise for sure.
You do.
So, you know, when I was in high school, I did soccer and track and everything like that. But I remember like even through college, like I didn't feel like I needed to exercise. And I wasn't sure if it was like lifting gear and things like that really, really helped me going. But like definitely now I'm more of an office role and working. I need to be able to exercise. So I go for a run, listening to music while I do that, come back, shower, get ready, dressed and everything like that. Even if I'm like no face-to-face or Skype meetings or anything like that, I still get 100% dressed. So I feel like I'm like ready for the day. I do a thing called a 5-minute journal. You can buy it online. I think it's 5minutejournal.com. It's basically asks you certain questions. So for example, every day starts with a quote or a challenge and then says, what are you grateful for? What would make today great? And then you do a daily affirmation statement. And then at nighttime, when you go to bed, I do what are 3 things that made today amazing, 3 amazing things that happened today. And then what is one thing that you would change, which is really, really cool. So I do that every day. From there, I'm usually listening to podcasts or I'm listening to an audiobook. Usually while I'm in the shower, I have a big Bluetooth speaker in my bathroom so I can like, listen to everything.
Take long showers then, huh?
I very long showers. Yeah, I'm a long shower guy for sure. It's like my peaceful time. Ironically, the shower is where I came up with my logo. So I think like my shower is almost my sacred space.
That is very cool.
From there, I'm gonna totally miss. Oh, the one thing I do before I even go for a run is I always make my bed. So that was something I picked up from Tim Ferriss. And it's like a big military thing as well, is that you make your bed. So, you know, no matter what happens, I always feel accomplished that I at least got one thing done, and it's make my bed, no matter how bad the day is.
I do the same thing.
So, and it's awesome. My bed always looks so good now.
Yeah.
So exciting.
I make it with my wife still in there too, which is nice. She can't get out.
Gets her out of there.
No, she can't get out, and then she says, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. And then, so once I kind of get that done and I'm like dressed and everything's done and the journal's done, then I go meditate, just like yourself.
Nice.
It's been awesome. I had a friend who recommended it to me. I did it and I was just like for an excited person like I am that talks a mile a minute and like, you know, my energy is really important to me. Meditating's been huge for me. I use an app called Headspace, actually. Really, really cool. For those who are trying to get into meditation, it's basically guided meditations and things like that. It's a quick app you download and you get points and challenges for completing. And then they have different meditations for different things. So like when you're stressed out or you're really sad, you can do all these different meditations to help you get in the right way. But there's a paid version which has the extras, but the free one you can get away with just doing the 10-day challenge over and over again, which I did for a while, and really recommended to get in the habit of meditation. So I do that.
I also use it too.
Yeah. Oh, you do? Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, it's
yeah.
awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. I've been doing it for the
Super.
last year and a half, I think, using that and just going through the different ones.
Oh
Some
my
of them
gosh,
I'll hit and I'll be like, I don't like this at all, and I'll just dump out of it and go to another one.
totally, totally. So we need to become buddies so we can like challenge each other on it too, right?
That's interesting. That's a good idea. Yeah. Because you can do
Um,
that just to make sure you're doing it. Because
yeah, yeah. You like see if you're
sometimes a couple
who's
days will
got
go
me
by,
wrong.
and it's nice too. It pops up on my phone and says, "Hey, have you gotten your headspace today?" or something like
Yeah,
I miss it for a few
exactly.
days or something. Anyway, sorry,
And I
sorry.
love that.
You go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to keep interrupting you with
No,
that.
it's okay. So I mean, like obviously, great minds think alike. Um, um, and then really big. I mean, like throughout this entire time, a lot of times there's a big temptation for me, like check my email. I really try to avoid email. Sometimes I'll do like a quick check to make sure there's nothing like urgent, fiery that I need
Mhm.
to. Like, so for example, I woke up this morning and someone's like, I need to have a call at this time, and it was like in the middle of my routine. So I kind of broke my routine to do that. But most of the time, I just power through, get through all this, and then go make a bowl of breakfast. And usually, what I try to do, I haven't been able to do it this last like week because it's been crazy busy with a bunch of opportunities coming through. But I make myself a bowl of cereal, and then so I'm like gesturing because my kitchen's over here, and then my couch is over here. I make a bowl of cereal, and then I usually go on my couch and I have my RSS reader Feedly that I use, and I just scroll through all of the articles that are kind of coming up through the day and
Mhm.
quickly look and see if there's anything that catches my eye, and then I add them to my pocket. I actually don't read them typically; I just pocket them. But it allows me a lot of times, like for example, Mashable is great for staying on top of current events because it's just like quick headlines, knowing what's going on, and things like that. So that helps me kind of stay on top of my news and what's going on in pop culture in the world and everything like that. And then usually from there, I just come in and start with my Todoist and look at what I have to get done for the day. And Todoist is like my task manager, and then just start chunking away at that, and just knowing what I have to get done and just powering through my to-do list basically. So that's my morning routine. And
That's
then
very,
everything else is
very
completely
cool.
different every day.
Very cool. It's funny. I do, and I have just implemented this stuff myself, like making the bed and that kind of thing for the last year and a half. And I feel so much better. I mean, that's with my shoulder now is all
Yeah.
screwed up. It's been kind of a pain in the ass because it's really put things into perspective. Like, that kind of stuff really helps still. Cause I like
Yeah.
to go to I used to get up and go, I haven't been doing it since this, but getting up and all, I'm really tight because I'm old and tight, and I would go
Tight
sit.
in a good way, right? Like
Yeah,
tight.
yeah. I would sit in the hot tub to loosen up, and then I
Oh.
would stretch. But while I'm sitting in the hot tub, then I would do the meditating in the hot tub. And then when I
Ooh.
get out, I can't do that long of a meditation, so I'm only doing like 15 minutes or 10 to
Cool.
15.
Yeah.
And then I would stretch, and then I would go to the gym. So
Ooh,
that was
nice.
kind of how I would start my day, and then I eat oatmeal every morning. That was kind of my thing, and I dropped some weight with that. But anyway,
That's awesome.
that's me. But anyway, it's funny, we're very similar in how we do.
Yeah, totally.
So, what's the best? Wait. I was going to say what's. Well, we're going along here.
We're like getting
Um,
through all the good questions.
yeah. What book do you gift others? Do you
Oh,
give everybody a book, or do you recommend like blogs or podcasts? Like, what are the things you recommend to
oh
people?
my gosh. That's like a Tim Ferriss question right there for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm stealing a lot of his questions. Honestly, I listen
No,
to
it's
it right now.
awesome.
Questions.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss is awesome. I can recommend books and podcasts. Like I am like an information junkie, I call it. I listen to a ton of podcasts, listen to a lot of audiobooks. I'll read a lot of books as well. I do the blogs. So podcast wise, man, I'm gonna try to avoid the industry a little bit.
That's good.
See if I can think of it. I'm gonna pull up. So I'm using Pocket Casts, which I know Brant would be really happy that I'm using. Is for all my podcasts. Possibly one of my favorite podcasts is not Tim Ferriss show, the Growth Show by HubSpot. They do a really great podcast on like interviewing leaders of companies and marketers. So and what's interesting is HubSpot's obviously a marketing company. The Growth Show is more about like growth of companies. So I really like that one because you get to hear these stories of all these great startups and how they all are growing like crazy. Like
And
they had to
it's
see
just along what you're doing with your company, so it's funny how that must be like that's how it's honing in with you right now.
Exactly. And I'm a huge HubSpot fan. We use it at Endless and everything like that too. So, a little bit of a fanboy in there, but a lot of what they're bringing is really, really cool. So I love that podcast. Audiobook wise, I just read a really, really good audiobook as I totally try to bring it up as I explain it. There's a really good book called Brain Rules that was all about like the psychology of how our brains work and how it affects us at work and school and life. And one of the interesting things is, like, for example, one of the tips they came up with is that our brains naturally want a nap in the afternoon. So it's always funny. Everyone's like, after lunch, they're like, oh, the afternoon dip, that kind of happens. And everyone kind of thinks it's like, okay, to just kind of power through it. But actually, the book talks about the psychology of and how our brains actually chemicals work, that we need a nap right after lunch. And there's a bunch of famous people. I'm totally forgetting all their names completely that had did naps in the afternoon. So
I've heard of that book. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, Brain Rules. Really loved that book. Got a lot of really great things. And I think meditation came out of that too as well. And they had a little bit of supporting on the meditation side. Book I really enjoyed recently as well from the business side is, but also even if you just love, Iron Man technology kind of things like that, is Elon Musk's biography was fantastic. Loved it. The audiobook was awesome too because the narrator did different voices for every person. So he kind of does his own accents and things like that. So it made it really entertaining, but the story and like what they do, it makes me want to dump all my money into Tesla and what they're doing because it's just brilliant what they're pulling off. So really, really, really cool book. And then let me think of another good book. And if, I'm a big sales guy too, so I do a lot of sales stuff. A really great book I recently read was The Sales Acceleration Formula by Mark Roberge. Really good book about building sales teams and hiring your first salesperson. So if someone's trying to build their first company out there and trying to hire their first salesperson and build their sales team, great book for that.
Nice. Okay, so I get so entranced in what you're saying, I forget to look at my question.
It's all good.
Which is good.
It's a lime green shirt that's
I wore mine too in honor of your. I don't know if you can see that. So
yeah, thank you, Mike.
You can't see that on the audio podcast, obviously, but I am wearing a lime green shirt also.
Awesome.
All right, Will, have you ever had a nickname?
I have had nicknames. Oh my gosh!
And why? And what is? Tell me one of them and why. Why were you nicknamed it?
I've had a bunch of different nicknames. So an interesting fact is that up until 6th grade, I went by Patrick. My full name is William Patrick Curran IV. So my dad's name is William as well, and he's Dr. William or Bill is the more like informal name. So my parents didn't want to confuse us, so they called me Patrick. But then 6th grade, there was like 3 Patricks, and I was like, I want to be Will. So I changed my name back over to Will. So that's really interesting. Through soccer, when I played soccer growing up through middle school, I went by Petrie was my nickname. Everyone called me like the Land Before Time dinosaur. And then very interestingly enough as well, so because I used to be a DJ, I had a bunch of different DJ names. My main DJ name was DJ Pip, P-I-P. And when I got to high school and played soccer, one of the guys on the team was like, hey, by the way, do you have any nicknames other than Will? And I was like, well, my DJ name is DJ Pip. And he goes, Pip! And so everyone at my school that played soccer with me would call me Pip. So really, really interesting. And now obviously, DJ Will C is like kind of my DJ name now when I do like my recorded mixes and things like that. But it had tons of different nicknames. But weirdly enough, they've all centered around like apparently like the letter P and W.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
So yeah.
I was a fireman for a long time, and I was in a fire academy, and we had to have our names on front of our shirt.
Awesome.
And it said McAllen, but the MC was way over here, and the Allen. So everyone called me MC Allen, basically. That was my nickname. Exactly. Kind of funny. Goes with the DJ thing, but I did not DJ at all. All right. So what's the best advice you've ever received?
I've gotten a lot of really good advice. I think one of the best advices I ever got was this idea. I've heard it like a million different ways, but the best like quote I ever heard around it was that your network equals your net worth. It's this idea that they always say it's not about what you know, it's about who you know, but it's also about who knows you and all those things like that, basically. And what I've realized over the years is that as I have grown the company, there's a lot of things I don't know, but there's a lot of great people who can help me out there. So that's where one really important part of your network. But what I found is that the people that you meet, they sometimes like surprise you in what they are going to end up doing. For example, we met at the tech conference and basically, decide, hey, we're going to do a podcast. I'm totally going to stay in touch like forever, basically, because we never know like what's going to come out of this, right? Out of that one event, I met like 5 different people, got 5 new clients out of it. So that's just an example of one. But one of my favorite stories is I competed in the Global Student Entrepreneur Awards not a long time, like a couple of years ago in New York. And one of the girls that was competing with me, his name was Sarah, and she actually competed and had this company. I forgot what it was called, but it was basically like a salad shop, like healthy eating style. And basically, she competed. We both didn't win the whole competition, but we stayed good friends and kept in touch throughout the years. Long story short, I get a Facebook message one day from her, and I found out that she shut down her company and everything like that, and we but still stayed in touch basically. And one of those things that most people would just kind of like disregard that and like maybe throw away that relationship, never talk to someone ever again. I don't know, whatever may happen. Well, long story short, she Facebook messaged me and it's like, hey, I have an event coming up. I just need some help. Can you answer some questions for me? So I was like, yeah, let's just set up a call. I like talking more than I like emailing or whatever it is. Right. She's like, okay, cool. So we hop on the call and she explains. She's like, for those who don't know, like I now work at Anheuser-Busch. I'm doing all their events. I'm doing these massive events, and I have to put on like a good 100 events a year, whatever it may be. And she's explaining this whole thing, and I'm just like, wow, this is really cool. And she's like, and I need help. Do you want to be my vendor? It's like this massive contract, that lists in my bio that, that's Anheuser-Busch is one of my clients. It's a huge thing. And she's like, do you want to do it? And I'm like, yeah, totally. 100%. I want Anheuser-Busch as a client. She's like, all right, cool. You're going to do it. And it was like that. And it was because of one relationship. We knew each other from one weekend years back. I ended up getting Anheuser-Busch, one of my biggest clients, from it. So it just goes to show you that you never know what's going to happen, and people are going to definitely surprise you for sure. So your network definitely equals your net worth. Build up your LinkedIn, utilize it. Ask people, who do you know that can help you with this, and work your network for sure, because it's really, really, really valuable to you.
That's very good advice. That's very good advice you've just given everyone.
Thank you. Took a bunch of years to figure that out.
Yeah, no, but it's great. It's really true. And that's basically why I started doing this podcast, because I just wanted to talk to people. Totally. It's like, I can call you on the phone, but might as well make it kind of fun. And it's Absolutely. Also easier for me to call you and to get you to come talk to me if we're doing it so other people can listen. I mean, you're so right. The network. And I have to say that I'd say probably every single one of the jobs that I've gotten over the years is from my network, not from some sort of cold calling or,
Totally.
It's interesting. Anyway, but I think,
Absolutely.
Okay. So, what's working for you right now? I know you said Slack is working really well, and we've talked about Slack on the podcast a lot, cool. But, what else? Are you using some sort of new, vitamin app? You talked about your exercise and some of the things you do for your own peace of mind. Is there a hack or a time saver or something that you could share?
Yeah, totally. I'll try to avoid the things I think a lot of people are talking about, and I'll talk about the things that really had a lot of impact for me personally. So one thing was that when I went remote, I went from having an office where a lot of times work came to me, people had questions, I had to go stop by other people's offices to help them. But with this new remote culture, people were very much just getting their own things done. So I had to make sure that I was getting my stuff done. I was very disciplined. So for me, Todoist has been really, really impactful for me. Having a to-do manager that basically gives me points and allows me to manage not just, hey, here's my list of all the things, because I was using Trello before, which was a really great software for managing like processes. We use that to manage our blog publishing schedule. But I had an issue where, what happens if you call me and say, hey, I need help with this, but it's not for another 2 weeks? Do I have to make a whole column called 2 weeks later from now, whatever it was? And Todoist really allowed me to manage my to-dos really, really well. It integrates with everything. So for example, when I star an email in my Gmail, it creates a to-do for me. When a new calendar invite adds, so I can really get an idea of what I have to get done that day. That's really important. So I knew on my to-do list is Mike's podcast, like I have to get this done today. And so I knew when I was planning my to-dos the night before at 8 p.m., I knew that this was going to come up, so I couldn't schedule anything from, like 11 to 1 p.m. because this was going to be my focus during that time.
Very cool.
So that was really good. This is completely random. Sorry. I just love talking about this thing. I have the Note 5 cell phone, and it has a new wide angle selfie camera. So I've been taking selfies like crazy with people, but it's an awesome conversation starter. So all the time, I'll meet people. For example, we did it at the event of the year awards. Is I was just like, oh my gosh, we talk on Twitter all the time. Let's take a selfie together. So if you look at my Instagram, I just have tons of selfies of event influencers like crazy. So that's been really
great.
Really, really cool. I'm just kind of creating things that help me stand out a little bit. And then if I can think of one other thing that's been really huge for me, I've been recently doing a lot of calling via my computer using a USB headset. I'm looking into wireless headsets right now because I'm kind of right now I really want to get a glass of water, but I'm stuck to the wire.
Right.
So it's really rough. But I totally forgot to take your advice and get the glass of water before the podcast started. But calling via computer has been huge for me. I hate talking on the phone. It's always hard for me to hear. I'm already losing my hearing, I feel like already. But I've been using an app called Switch Communications, and it allows you to call people via your computer. But what's also great is if I'm on the phone with you talking to me on my computer, but let's say I have to start leaving real quick for another meeting, I can switch it over to my phone, or I can switch it over to another computer. And so basically the idea of Switch allows you to switch devices, allows me to record calls, send text messages. So allows me to get a lot more phone calls done really, really well, and sounds awesome. Cool. So getting a lot more phone calls and conferences done for sure.
And the sound is really good. I think somebody else was talking about this, and they're using it for podcasting because the sound is so good compared to Skype. Skype, you get that wah thing with Skype.
Totally.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this Blab comes out too. I don't know how we're using this, but
that too.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Totally. I can talk about tech and days. So if any of you guys are really interested in learning about apps and things like that, you guys can tweet me all day long, and I'm always happy to share my coolest tools for CRMs and task management softwares and productivity all day long.
Awesome. Maybe we should just have you come on the podcast more often.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your favorite industry event you have attended, and why is it so compelling?
Man. So,
and I will follow up this with what is your, favorite event to go to? That can be anything, Burning Man, whatever the hell it is.
It doesn't have to be industry.
No, but I'd like to know the industry one because I'm trying to figure out which ones I should go to, which ones I shouldn't bother.
So this is gonna blow your mind completely. I for the longest time, because we were such I don't want to say we're a newbie to the industry, but we always kind of just wanted to do our thing and just kept going, and we're like, hey, we're going to make a splash on our own. I actually don't go to a lot of industry events, to be honest. I'm going to more of them now that I'm traveling more often anyway, so I'm usually in the city that it's going on anyways, or I can fly easier to it. But I actually don't go to a ton of industry stuff. So IMEX was actually really, really cool. It was really huge, and I felt like I was in we were talking about Epcot because you're seeing all the different countries all over the place in the cities.
Yeah, it is.
So that was really, really cool. But I definitely, we've become more of an industry influencer because of the content we've done, it makes also the industry events a lot more fun as well. Because before I'd go to these events and maybe I know one person, you're hugging that person, you're hip to hip the entire time, you don't want to leave because this is the only person you know. But I went to IMEX and the event Tech of the Year, and when I remember being in that room and being oh my gosh, Mike, you do AV for planners? Oh my gosh, I've heard of AV for planners. I listen to your podcast, and you had heard of me, and it was awesome because it made the events a lot less being I'm Will Curran from Endless Entertainment. Oh, what does Endless do? Oh, we'll give you the elevator pitch and everything like that. Right. Make it surface level that instantly we were already friends and we already all knew each other. So that was really cool. So I'll probably be at way more industry events now. So maybe in a year, come back to me and let me know, or we'll re-answer that question.
Well, when I started my company 12 years ago, before that I had never been to one.
Oh, no way.
I had already been in the business for 10 years, working for a large production company before I started mine. And I was just what are these? I had heard of them, but then everybody at my old company had said, oh, it's a waste of money. They just want money from you. It's and so, but then I went because I just wanted to meet people. And just as you said, going into that room, it is interesting that now I was just talking to Michelle Bruno, who was in that room also. Michelle Bruno.
Yeah.
She's a great I just interviewed her yesterday, actually.
Oh,
And
awesome.
what she and I were talking about, I only go to them now to see people because like I don't even go to the sessions and stuff.
Yep.
Which I think I should be giving sessions on some of them because I think that's how you can meet more people. But she and I were talking about, we should just put together an event with all the people we like and tag it onto one of these events.
Exactly.
It's just a big networking day. And
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
have something going. Maybe people can come up and give a little, a short thing or something, but it's mostly about networking. Seeing people in person. So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to jump on your parade. This is your show.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I totally agree with the whole idea.
So what is your favorite event to go to, just in general? Like, what do you look forward to every year? What do you not miss, even if work is something happening, because I know that's now in your world is like, do I choose between work or do I go? What do you not miss? What is the one you want to go to maybe?
So I'm lucky that they're my clients now. Is that all the Comic Cons? I'm a huge comic book nerd. So that's the easy answer. Is that just getting to go to Comic Cons is so awesome. Watching them evolve and grow. Getting to see Stephen Amell from Arrow, who's like one of my favorite actors in the TV show, is amazing. So that's really, really cool. And now they're my clients, so it's like I get to like go to the shows for free and to actually technically get paid, I guess. So really, really cool. But that's really, really nice. One of my favorite events I think I've ever been to that I really enjoyed, I've only been to one, is Conscious Capitalism did a conference in San Diego one year. It was like their Conscious Capitalism, I think it was just called Conscious Capitalism was a conference. And they did such a good job making this like 500, 600 person conference feel so small and intimate through the use of technology and tools and things like that. That it was really, really cool. And I had a really, really good time at it. And I think the flow of it went really well. It never felt rushed that I was going session to session. That is definitely one of my favorite events I've ever been to for sure. I'm a big EDM electronic guy. So going to see all my favorite EDM artists is really, really fun. And luckily, good friends, family friends, long time, and ironically with like one of the biggest promoters here in Arizona. So I get to go to all the EDM events all the time and check them out. So really, really cool. So I'd say like that's probably it. Comic Cons and probably like, alternative conferences that are kind of trying to break the typical business conference mold, and then like a lot of electronic music festivals.
Very, very cool. Okay, so we're going over a little long, which I figured we would anyway. But let me ask you one last question. So, if you could talk to your high school senior self, would you tell what would you tell yourself? Would you do something differently, or would you do the same thing?
I'm like I'm laughing so hard because that's like the year I started my company. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what would I tell myself? Oh gosh. To be honest, there's so many things. I would definitely tell myself that things are going to get way bigger than you think they are going to, and you can start thinking bigger. I think that was always something that your mind thinks, like I was like, oh man, I want to do one large scale event by the time I graduate college, and I ended up doing one like 6 months later, and it was one of those things that broke through. And then I never ever thought I'd have a Comic-Con as a client, and now I do like all of them. That was always really, really exciting, I think. And I think if I have told myself, hey, you can do like beyond what you even think is possible, I think I would have probably been able to push my limits even more. And I think a lot of times it sounds so lame, but you're definitely limited by your own like imagination for sure. And I think that a lot of times I was like, yeah, I want to do high school dances. What if I was like, I don't do high school dances, I want to do EDC, and I was working on getting EDC since first freshman year of college, I probably would have been doing EDC by now, like that sort of stuff. So really, really, I think that was a really important piece of advice that I would definitely tell myself.
Very cool. All right. Well, Will, where can people get a hold of you if they want to contact you? Where can they get a hold of you?
Totally. So I'm on all the major social networks. My name is Will, Will, and my last name is Curran, Curran. And you can search that and you'll find all my Twitter handle, my LinkedIn. Add me on LinkedIn, utilize my network so you can have some more net worth as well. And definitely my biggest resource that you can start on, and just in case you didn't see how to spell my name or anything like that, is my website, hello, HELLO, endless, ENDLESS.com. That's Hello Endless. And check that out. That's our blog. All of our resources are on there. And if you have any questions at all, you can always email me. My email is will@helloenlist.com. Super easy. And I'm really, really open to always chatting with people and helping them out, hopping on phone calls like crazy. So, I'm really, really accessible.
Very cool. Thanks, Will. And I hope to have you back on the show again soon.
Yeah,
It's fun
definitely.
to talk to you.
I'd love to come back. Thanks so much for having me, Mike.
Okay, talk to you soon. Well, that was a fun talk with Will. Will is a very energetic guy. And again, I wanted to thank Will for being on the show. I wanted to thank IMEX America, of course, and the sponsor, Event Escalators. Again, check out Event Escalators at eventescalators.com, and make sure you try the free book that you can get from Audible, audibletrial.com/meetings podcast. Some really great books to check out there. And last not least, you can contact me at meetingspodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions or comments, or you want to hear something on the show, or you want to be on the show. Give me a holler. Also, if you can take a second and leave a review in the iTunes store, that really helps the show, helps me get more people listening, and that's what we're trying to do. So thank you. And again, thanks to Will, and I will see you next time.
We appreciate and thank you for listening to the Meetings Podcast. Please email with any questions or comments to meetingspodcast@gmail.com. Meetings Podcast is sponsored by IMEX America, America's worldwide exhibition for incentive travel, meetings, and events. The Meetings Podcast theme music is brought to you by the Delgado Brothers, which can be found at delgadobrothers.com.